Procrastination isn't a time management problem, and it isn't a motivation problem either. Most people believe procrastination means they're lazy, undisciplined, or unfocused. But psychology shows something very different. Procrastination is not about avoiding work. It's about avoiding discomfort. In this video, we'll break down the real psychological reasons procrastination happens, why forcing yourself rarely works, and what's actually going on inside the brain when you delay something you know you should do. Once you understand this, procrastination stops feeling like a personal flaw and starts feeling predictable. Procrastination doesn't come from a lack of logic. Most people already know what they should be doing. The problem is emotional. When a task triggers boredom, anxiety, uncertainty, or self-doubt, the brain reacts before logic gets a chance to intervene. From a psychological perspective, procrastination is an emotion regulation strategy. It's the brain trying to protect you from an uncomfortable feeling in the present moment. Delaying the task brings temporary relief, and the brain learns quickly that short-term relief feels harmless, but it comes with a hidden cost. Your brain is wired to prioritize what feels better now, not what benefits you later. When you procrastinate, the brain isn't choosing comfort over success. It's choosing certainty over uncertainty. Immediate relief feels predictable. Effort feels unknown. This is why procrastination often shows up with tasks that matter most. The more emotional weight a task carries, the more resistance the brain creates. And the longer a task is delayed, the heavier it starts to feel. Interestingly, the hardest part of most tasks isn't doing them, it's starting them. Before you begin, the brain imagines the task as one large, undefined effort. That uncertainty increases mental friction. Once you start, the task becomes specific, and specificity reduces anxiety. This is why people often feel relief after beginning something they were avoiding. The brain resists the unknown, not the work itself. So if starting is the real obstacle, willpower isn't the solution. Willpower assumes the brain wants to cooperate. But when emotions are involved, willpower has very little leverage. Forcing yourself to work doesn't address the emotional resistance underneath. It only creates more tension. This is why people feel mentally exhausted before they even begin. Procrastination isn't a lack of discipline. It's a mismatch between emotional state and task demand. What actually works is changing how the brain perceives the task. One of the most overlooked drivers of procrastination is how people talk to themselves when they delay. After procrastinating, many people respond with criticism. They tell themselves they're lazy, undisciplined, or failing. But psychologically, this makes procrastination stronger, not weaker. Self-criticism increases stress, and stress narrows the brain's focus toward short-term relief. When the brain feels threatened, it prioritizes emotional safety over long-term goals. That means the more pressure you apply internally, the more the brain seeks escape. This is why procrastination often becomes a cycle. A task feels uncomfortable, you delay it. You criticize yourself for delaying. The task now feels even heavier than before. The brain associates the task not just with effort, but with shame and self-judgment. At that point, procrastination isn't about avoiding work anymore. It's about avoiding how the work makes you feel about yourself. Psychology consistently shows that people make more progress under conditions of psychological safety than under pressure. This doesn't mean lowering standards, it means reducing emotional threat. When the brain doesn't feel attacked, it becomes more willing to engage. And that's why harsh self-talk almost never solves procrastination. It teaches the brain to avoid the task even more. When tasks feel smaller, clearer, and less emotionally charged, procrastination loses its grip. Breaking tasks into visible, manageable steps reduces uncertainty. Lowering emotional friction makes action feel safer. This is also why starting with imperfect action works better than waiting for motivation. Progress creates clarity. Clarity reduces resistance. And resistance, not laziness, is what procrastination is really about. Once you understand this, your relationship with procrastination changes. Procrastination doesn't mean you're broken. It means your brain is trying to protect you from discomfort. But protection isn't always helpful. So instead of asking yourself, why can't I just do this? Try asking a different question. What is the smallest version of this task I could start right now? Not the perfect version, not the finished version, just the smallest possible action. Opening the document, writing one sentence, spending 2 minutes, not 2 hours. That small step lowers uncertainty. And once uncertainty drops, resistance weakens. You don't need more pressure or discipline. You need to make starting feel safe. Progress doesn't come from forcing yourself. It comes from reducing the emotional weight of the task. And once the task feels lighter, your brain stops fighting it. That's when the real growth starts. So for your own sake, stop waiting for the first step and go ahead and make it. I promise you will feel great afterwards. In the next video, we'll explore why the brain resists change, even when change would clearly improve your life. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.